From Terraria to Minecraft, Voxel Games are already making big ripples in the gaming world, and have been for quite some time. But what can we say about Chucklefish's new addition to the procedurally generated voxel gaming world? Starbound. Let's review. Starbound is a new independent game by Chucklefish Games, led by Ty Bryce, one of the lead designers on Terraria. This game is being released on Windows, OS X, Linux, PS4, PS Vita, but right now we have a beta and an early access it was opened on December 4th and in 2013 for Windows, OS X and Linux. So if you want to hop on Steam, you can do that right now, and I'm going to recommend it, and I'm going to get into why. So this game has just entered beta testing, and it is pretty fantastic. It's really well created, it's really well thought out, and really well realized. The game is described as a platformer, adventure, sandbox, and an RPG, which is all fairly true. It has single player and multiplayer. The multiplayer is working fairly well, and actually most of my footage is from the multiplayer, some of which I was playing with my friend in South Korea. So as you can see, it's pretty smooth and it actually works really well. For what it is, and for an early access multiplayer, and the way it actually can transfer your single player character to your multiplayer character, and it's just one consistent universe, it really shines through as one of the breakout games of 2013, even so late in the year. As I said, it was released on December 4th, so it's only been out a little while, and people are already getting really into it, and the community's growing really well. The style is very close to Terraria, as you might have noticed, and I think that would be one of the main things people say, is that, is this Terraria 2? Does it look like Terraria? The term basically turns out to be spiritual successor, because there are elements of Terraria in it, but they are very different games. Now, the nature of voxel games tends to be that you will deal with squares, and you'll deal with building and breaking things and just freely and things like that. Also, procedural generation is a very key element, so it's going to be hard to ever kind of break apart what the voxel genre is. So Terraria will look like Starbound, that's fine. And they're actually designed by the same people, so you kind of get that from the get-go. Starbound deals with the procedural generation of voxels in a voxel world much differently than a lot of voxel games do, where you can travel between planets, but each planet is its own entity, basically. So once you've done a loop of the planet, that's it. You've got that outline of that, and then you can go to a different world. And it seems to be a procedurally generated universe, but I have heard a lot of people saying that they can share coordinates. Starbound has 6 races, with the 7th that was part of a pre-order campaign that raised $500,000, I believe. The Nova Kid, who are not in the game yet, so I don't know much about them. But we have the Apex, an ape-like race that is essentially based on Planet of the Apes kind of characters, and they are fairly obsessed with science when you find them, all living peacefully in a city. So, either or. The Avians, who are either hyper-religious, sort of Mayan figures, or they can be space pirates. It's to my experience. As I say, these are just places that I found in the game. So I found sky ships with avians on them being pirates, or I found underground temples full of birds praising their god. So it's a bit, it's different. It's a very personal game. The Florins, who are a carnivorous plant race, who are very new to the universe, and people don't think they're very technologically advanced or anything, but they do eat a lot of flesh. Humans, who are just humans who have lost their homeworld and are basically scattered throughout the universe. The Hayatou are like an amphibious kind of fish race, who were actually driven away by the Florins in the past. So there is a lot of lore in this world that you can delve into. And finally the Glitch, who are robotic creatures with the mindsets of a medieval age culture. So anyway, the game breaks down to these 6 different races. There are planned racial traits for the armors in future, so potentially you could have a Florin that could wear avian armor, and the avian armor would give you the ability to glide and things like that. So eventually those things are planned. There are techs in the game that let you move differently. There's tons of different kinds of weapons and legendary creatures that you can find on worlds, and massive dungeons and prisons and things that you can find to raid. So the gameplay is really fleshed out and really cool. but it is being balanced and changed and becoming more and more interesting. So to pick this up on early access is really actually quite a delight, and the fact that it's so fleshed out already is just amazing. The sound and music are amazing. I'm not sure if they're final or what, and I'm assuming they will have more things added to them as you go. But the sound and music are really fun and they're really interesting, and just the songs and the fact that you can play your own music and with other people. If they have an instrument, you can actually enter a band name and play songs together with different instruments playing the same song. And it creates these great little moments in multiplayer, or just these great moments where you're just walking along and you're like, I could play some music right now, and you just change up what you're doing. The game has a couple of little bugs here and there, but that's to be expected, and it's mainly around blocking things with your matter manipulator. I only say this because I blocked someone's transporter the other night, and they couldn't get back to their ship. Which brings me to ships. The ship is one of the best additions to this kind of a game that I've ever seen, and it actually fleshes out a lot of my problems with voxel-based exploration sandbox games. Whereas in things like Minecraft, you would have to just run back to home. Like, it would be a trek, and you'd have to plan to be out of the house or whatever it is. But with this, as long as you're on the surface of the planet or have access to some way out of the mountain that you're in, so if you mine out the back wall or something like that, and you actually can see the outside, you can teleport back to your ship, and your ship can be a hub with all of your crafting benches, all of your storage and things like that, and it will come with you wherever you travel in the universe. You can also set a homeworld, which can be warped to at any time from your ship. So this allows you to set up all of your infrastructure on your ship and on the homeworld. So the homeworld can be a storage area, you can put all of your chests there, and you can get back and forth from there really simply. This makes it a lot more comfortable and just a lot more easy, and I think that's the name of the game in Starbound, is that you're playing a voxel game that is a bit easier to deal with than things like Minecraft, where you have to do a 2-day trek just to get some new biomes and stuff, whereas this will let you just fly to a new planet, and you'll still have your homeworld set, you'll still be able to find it, and it makes the universe feel a lot more accessible and a lot more freedom to move. Whereas in Minecraft, you might not want to go for a big long trek because you'll lose all your items out in the field. Starbound won't make you lose your items. You'll just respawn on your ship and you'll lose some of your currency, which is pixels. Pixels are used to print 3D objects out of your 3D printer, so things like beds and stuff. They can also be used, they're just used in most recipes, and they're just a basic currency. You can get them, and you can get them from almost anything. While Starbound is in early access, it is another one of these early access games that feels very fleshed out and very cool already. Like, I would accept that as a full game almost, but the fact that planning more and the things that I've read that are coming make me just super excited for it. They're incorporating things like interstellar battles. You'll be able to find motherships that you'll be able to enter and explore. The multiplayer is just going to get more and more advanced and just be great. And as for all the other gameplay elements, once racial armors start coming in and we get racial bonuses from armors and the other race comes out, it's just going to be huge, and it's going to be so much fun, and it'll only get better. So with all of that considered, the fact that it's so fleshed out and the fact that there's the bugs are very small that I've noticed, and they're not a big problem, and the fact that I could play an early access game's multiplayer from across Australia to Korea, that makes me think that this game has a lot of potential and a lot of future. So with all of that considered, and a great love of this genre, I have to give Starbound an 8.5 out of 10. The only reason it would have lost points and not been a 9 or a 10 out of 10 for that matter is because of just early access issues. I'm sure once everything's balanced out and once my certain ocarina songs don't crash the game and things like that, I could give it a perfect rating, because I've just had the best time playing this game and putting time into it, and it's such a rewarding experience, and that's so great to find, and we're in a great time for that with indie games. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. If you want any more information, you can go to the Starbound website, and I really recommend you check this game out. The designers are really cool, and they're one of the best indie studios out there right now, I'd say. And at the price point of $15 on Steam, you can't really go wrong for a game that has so many hours of gameplay. If you want to check out anything else, head over to museculture.net, head over to any of the social media, and just come and talk to us. If you go over to the YouTube, we have some cool Oculus Rift videos and a lot of trailers and stuff. Go subscribe over there, or here if you're already here. And yeah, stick around. I'll be back next week. Talk to you then.